I knew violence was going to strike on a global scale through astrology. And I knew the areas too, specifically through astrocartography. Walk with me. Saturn conjoined Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, which is really significant because, first of all, Saturn conjoining Neptune happens every 36 years. It's a planetary cycle. And when it comes to the outer planets, it means, something huge on a global scale, it will be affected. Now, usually with Saturn and Neptune conjoins, something on a global scale happens that is associated with authority and government, and there being like confusion, disillusionment, kind of like hidden things that are a bit foggy, but eventually within that 36 year cycle, we begin to have some clarity. And it speaks to us needing structure in order to navigate something that is confusing. We can see some discipline when it comes to the pharmaceutical and medical field as well, and us striving to make dreams into reality, us struggling through it, but trying to build like some discipline, some form to it. With this happening in Aries specifically, this will be happening with aggression, with force, with passion, with initiation. But it's happening at 0 degrees. 0 degrees is a critical degree. So this is quite significant with new beginnings and us kind of like getting our feet wet and trying to display this new way of adding order to things that are confusing and nebulous, but also it is the first degree of the zodiac, 0 degrees Aries. And so we are truly starting a new cycle, right? And adding form to our dreams and idealization, specifically when it comes to aggression, such as war, such as bloodshed, such as things that are associated with Aries energy. With Neptune going into Aries in general, we are, idealizing and idolizing Aries type things. This is sports. This is taking action. This is making moves. This is being aggressive, assertive. This is, sometimes war, sometimes fighting, overt energy. You know what I mean? Saturn being in Aries, Saturn struggles in Aries because Aries likes to feel that passion and that fire from within and just do. Saturn needs to understand things at a practical and logical level, build a form, see what worked, what didn't work before moving. And so, Saturn is learning how to trust their hunches a little bit more, but Aries energy is kind of learning to slow down and not to just jump at things haphazardly in this transit. And so this is where it is mismatched, but this is what we're also learning too. So people who are taught, trying to utilize that Aries energy that is idealized with kind of just jumping into things, they're learning to do it with structure, with discipline, with like practical and logical knowledge before jumping into things. Use that fire as intuition to show you where to go, but not to go there immediately. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is describing the situation that happened, especially with the bombs over in Iran, right? But other things too. But overall, when I see this transit, it speaks this energy being like, authority, government, leadership, having like a highlight on things that they are associated with that is nebulous, that is confusing, and you know, even idealized a bit. Us being aware of certain things as well as a collective, and they're also being confusion connected to who is our leader, how is the government working, are certain things going away, are certain things staying. A lot of times there's a turn of authority during this cycle. Now, with astrocartography, we use mundane positioning for the most part. Some people use zodiacal positioning, but I use mundane. A lot of us use mundane positioning, and we can see where the planets are projected onto Earth, like what locations of the globe it is projected onto. So that includes this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, as well as the Mars conjunction. The reason why I'm looking at, as well as Mars, and the reason why I'm looking at Mars is because Saturn and Neptune are conjoined in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. So Mars is important too. But let me show you on a map where the Saturn-Neptune conjunction was when it was exactly conjoined. Okay? I'm going to show you where Mars was too. Look at this, y'all. Look. So that black marker, that also is, has a little bit of a aquamarine marker. marker behind it, that represents the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. What's interesting about that specifically is that it is the zenith of that conjunction is right on top of Lake Victoria. I don't know what's going to go on over there or what is going on, but something funky is happening, possibly with like borders or maybe violence over there. I'm not sure, because I noticed that Saturn Neptune conjunctions is often associated with wars, more so kind of like the ending of wars or wars being extremely heightened is weird. But the vertical line that is from that marker is the Saturn and Neptune midheaven line. And if you follow it, you see that it is pretty close to Israel and Palestine, right? And the highlighted blue marks is kind of like the orb of influence that I give for this conjunction. And it goes all the way to Iran, where this situation is happening, right? If you go even a little bit more up north, again, you see that it is right between Ukraine and Russia, and the orb of influence definitely hits Western Russia, and Eastern Europe, right? You see that. You see, if you go back down to where the marker is at, you see this area is very close to Sudan, who's going through a lot, and it's actually right in the same latitude as Congo, right? You see this energy right there. And so significant situations are happening associated with those areas when it has to do with, authority and government and their like exposure connected to that. Kind of nebulous energies there, loss of leadership and trying to navigate how, loss of government as well, and trying to navigate how to work through that. You know, shit being exposed. Speaking of shit being exposed, remember Saturn and Neptune are conjoined in Aries, 0 degrees Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. That red marker is basically where Mars was at during the Saturn Neptune conjunction when it was exact. You follow that line, you see, and you go look at that midheaven line, right? Go straight up that vertical red line. It goes right through the UK. Wasn't Prince Andrew just jailed? Literally the day before this conjunction, which was February 20th. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know all of the world news, but these are the things that I think of, right? So there is going to be a change of government, a change of authority, through exposure, through, us idealize, like there's going to be things that were idealized that's being crushed and restricted so we can have some more authority. Now, this is a 36-year period. So you may wonder, okay, so is it going to happen throughout the whole 36 years? No. But when certain like planets kind of pass through 0 degrees Aries, which is where the conjunction is at during these 36 years, that's going to mark when something happens. Now we know that the, inner planets often go there. And so, we might have little instances that happen. But when there's like a solar eclipse, a new moon, a full moon, or when the outer planets hit 0 degrees Aries during that 36-year period, that's when something interesting is going to happen involving this conjunction. Now, this is a wider scape of the world map of the areas that will be affected to this conjunction. In my opinion, again, this is me using my personal orb of influence. I always look at world events through an astrocartography lens. If you're interested to learn more about that, check out the recent article I did on my website, ASTRODIM'S.com, where I talk about the things I specifically predicted using astrocartography, specifically in Mundo astrocartography. I also have a retainer program. Feel free to check that out if you're interested in having me as your astrologer best friend for the month. You can hit me up whenever too. It's really cool. And then you have to think about it too. Mars is involved in this conjunction. Mars was just square Uranus. Surprise attacks. That's exactly what happened to Iran. Like, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up.